It's almost like the post office telling the world that emails are bad and they could be hacked. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, if you're not gonna disrupt yourself, someone else will do it for you. So I don't know if you guys could. You don't use the washroom where you sleep, right, or where you eat, and that's pretty much what he's doing. You know what I mean? So I don't know, like hackers could still cause plenty of damage if they were able to push out a malicious software update to NASH customers. And this is the CEO of Kraken. And he was the one that said smart contract vulnerabilities remain a clear and present danger. Now he owns a CEX, a centralized exchange, a fiat crypto exchange, Kraken, very popular. Now, I mean, I don't really consider NASH being a competitor to him, but he seems to be in panic mode, you know? And what would the crypto space be without Fudders, right? Also, a huge shout out goes out to all the whales out there, so is that true? Could you confirm, Fabio, is that true?
If the smart contracts are not to be trusted in general, then I think some exchanges should stop trading Ethereum because
Welcome back to the crypto lifestyle, and I know, it's been a while since we went live with a guest, but I can assure you, I'm about to make up that today. So please settle in, because today we have Fabio Kennison, research engineer and lead developer at NASH. Ethan Fast, the creator of the ever so popular Neon wallet and co-founder at NASH. Fabian, not to be mistaken with Fabio Wahil, PhD major at ETH Zurich, co-founder and developer at NASH. Thomas Saunders, Chief Engineer Officer at NASH and the original developer of NeoPython. Last but certainly not least, we have Luciano Engel, co-founder at NASH and the creator of Neoscan. You know, neoscan.io, the same place you NASH fanatics go every minute of the day to see how much NASH tokens are currently being staked. But that's right. We do have all 5 founders and developers of the sexiest decentralized exchange known to man, which goes by the name of NASH, joining us here live. So please allow me to take this moment and officially welcome the founding fathers of NASH onto the program. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules on making this happen. You know, whenever I'm surrounded by an all-star caliber team such as yourselves sitting down with me here live, it's always an honor and a pleasure. So thank you again, once again, guys, for making this interview happen.
thank you, Kraken, for having us. Yeah, thank you.
All right, my pleasure, man. So Ethan, you know, there are tons of DEXs popping up these days, right? And for viewers who know what a decentralized exchange is, but they have never heard about NASH, could you let them know what exactly is NASH and what makes NASH unique and different to the current DEXs that are on the market right now?
Sure. So just to start off, we say this often, but NASH is more than just an exchange and more than just a decentralized exchange. So we are a FinTech company, and we're building out platforms for, you know, basically the management of digital assets, trading, as things and payments is going to be a big thing for us in the future. But to answer that question more specifically, what makes NASH special as a DEX? I'd step back from there a little bit too and say, like, actually the more important thing to focus on is the non-custodial properties of NASH. And so if you think about, you know, what people often mean when they're talking about DEXs, there's a number of things, but one of the biggest ones is security and ownership and control of assets. And what makes NASH very special is that we are non-custodial in that users control assets on our platform. The assets never leave their control, even when they're trading and doing various other things with it. Now, DEXs have historically had like pretty big problems with two major points, and one of these is usability. So if you go and take a look at like existing DEXs in the space, things like Ether Delta, etc., like, you know, people have to manage their private keys. They have to interact very slowly at blockchain speeds. This is a big issue for people, and so we address these issues both in the way that we manage people's accounts. They don't really have to understand public-private key cryptography and so on to create an account with the system and to interact with the exchange, and also through the high performance we provide on the trading itself. So, you know, when you're making trades at NASH, it feels like a centralized exchange, and that's something that, you know, really we haven't seen before with non-custodial exchanges. So, yeah, hopefully that makes sense. Sorry for the long answer, but it always gets us a little bit interested when people are asking about DEXs.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think like one of the most common, problem why people don't like to trade on DEXs is it's too slow. It's way too slow, right? I think you brought up Ether Delta. I mean, try trading there. Good luck, right? So that's great. If Nash could actually perform like a centralized exchange, that will be the first of its kind, right? So that's definitely a standout feature and different to other DEXs. I will ask the second question here. Maybe Fabio, if you would like to answer this here. So the common question I get from people, when I'm making these Nash videos is, Francis, TCL, if Nash is so decentralized, why do I have to do KYC? Why is my state banned? Why is my country not able to trade? Could you explain to these people, right? I'm going to bring up a graphic. What makes Nash a decentralized exchange despite these restraints and limitations to states and/or nations?
Right. I think there are two different things. One is decentralization as technology, as engineering. And the other thing is regarding KYC is much more legal and business side. So while Nash has the non-custodial properties, it does not control your funds. We still need to know the source of revenue for the company. So on the company side, when money gets to the bank or when we pay back dividends to people, we need to demonstrate to the authorities that this is actually clean money. Right? So it's really not defined as one is requirement to the other. You still have KYC, but you can be decentralized. One is engineering, the other is business. So for Nash side, we took the decision on the engineering non-custodial, so be like a DEX, offer the same security. But we also took the decision from the business side to not take the risk of accepting funds from anywhere. So to actually be compliant so that our business can last longer, let's say.
Yes, no, I totally understand. See, the thing is, okay, if you're talking about the future and you want to be here for a long time, you definitely want to go by the book, right? And that's what you guys are doing. The last thing you want to do is like, say, 2, 3, 4 years from now, the SEC comes knocking on your door and say, hey, Nash, you guys didn't follow, you guys didn't go by the book, right? So you guys are doing every single thing right, and that's what I tell people. And, with all these restrictions right now anyways, with the MVP, a lot of people are saying X, Y, and Z, but they need to understand you guys are doing it the right way, and they're not used to this because other exchanges or other companies in this space, they just make up words like utility token and think it's okay, but we'll just leave that as that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
I think that allows us to pursue other legal licensing things quicker without having a bad record of not following the law in the past.
Right.
Also, the kind of partners we can get and the kind of brand that we can build is much stronger.
Following you may have on social media or on YouTube, or how many folks you referred. All you got to do is lock up your next tokens in a staking contract, and you'll get up to 75% of trading fees spread across the Nash ecosystem. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Is that a fair analysis to say that Nash has democratized and decentralized the trading fees?
Yeah, I think that's a fair assumption.
That is, right?
I think we make available to everyone to be part of the success of an exchange, of a trade platform.
Exactly, right? And then the thing about that is what I just alluded to is, yeah, like if you are a YouTuber like myself and you want to refer your subscribers, you're the only one that's going to get a cut of that fee. But you're offering this to your entire community, never done before. And I actually thought about this one night. I was making a video on staking, and I'm like, wait up. This is first of its kind. This is true decentralized exchange or ecosystem. As you said, you guys are a fintech company using blockchain as the infrastructure. Okay, so if there's a maintenance, right? If Nash is going on for maintenance or system upgrades, do people still have access to their funds?
I'll take this one. So in a normal centralized exchange, if the exchange is going through upgrades or maintenance or the exchange is down, there's no way that you can access your funds. Because you don't essentially own your own funds until you can log in. With most DEXs, but with Nash, you control your own private keys. So anytime, if we do go through a maintenance period, you control your own addresses, so you can use them in a wallet outside of our wallet to send funds and to use them as you normally would
Community member David Rakuson asks, it's a long one. So David Rakuson asks, could you ask about how they're going to solve onboarding of institutions? I've spoken to several VC crypto funds, and they do not want to hold the tokens for themselves. They want to use custody solutions. VC funds do not want to be responsible for holding of the tokens in case they were stolen from them. They will be big targets since they hold a lot of value in tokens. Several of them use Coinbase custody. So I'd like to know whether Nash has some competitive product in mind. That's a very, very, very interesting question. How would you guys be able to tackle that?
So we have a coming upgrade which uses some new technology, not so new, but new in blockchain, which is called secure multi-party computation. And with that, we will add some features and some possibilities on how much damage can be done when someone loses their keys. VCs and other trading partners or big funds that have assets in Nash, even though if their computer is compromised and so on, they can still lock their funds or cancel any kind of activity and move to a secure fund. So basically, the idea is that we would offer the same level of security.
Right. I would also just say that people can build on top of our platform, or could in the future, using this sort of technology to develop more secure ways for other people to distribute custody, right? So maybe you don't have custody, but like several firms who you've partnered with do have custody of the assets that sort of you are directing, and this is another possibility.
Okay, so this is something you guys are fully aware of and you heard before in the past, obviously. Like you thought of this before. Okay.
Yes, for sure. It's just that the product is already so big, and there's always some feature to implement. And this is one of those things that was not priority for MVP, but it's something that is on our radar for sure.
Yeah, no, perfect. Sounds good to me. Thank you for answering that. Okay, so there's one thing I like about Nash, as I mentioned, the community is one of the smartest communities out there, in my opinion. They really do their own homework, their own research, rather, DYOR, instead of listening to random guys on the internet like myself. But it seems as though everyone has a take on what a security token is. Everyone is like this version of their own lawyer, so to speak. So my question to you is, why is Nash defined as a security token, and why is this so important for the future of the company?
Yeah, maybe I take one.
Answering the question whether a token is a security pretty much depends on the legislation you're looking at. So since we are targeting the European area and the US for now, we looked at their frameworks they're using to determine this. And for the US, this is the Howey test. And there are essentially a couple of questions you have to answer with respect to the project, and then you will find whether the token is a security. In the US, that means whether a user used money to invest into the token, which is true in our case. Second question is whether he is expecting profits from this investment. This is also true in our case, as we have the dividend pay inherent in our protocol. And third question would be whether the company he invested in is actually an incorporate company and not just like a DAO, for example. And this is also true in our case. For Liechtenstein, there's a different set of questions. It's a bit more in-depth, but it's along similar lines. So this is about the question why it is a security, and why we actually choose to be a security is actually a different path. So we always have the safetyness of investors in mind. So actually building on top of the structure that was established over a long period of time in terms of securities and security trading, we thought it's a very good idea to leverage this, and that's why we also go for security.
But thank you, though, Fabian. We did get pieces of that. It wasn't your fault, though. That was a well-explained. Okay, so I want to bring up something about Forbes.com. Okay, and they made a publication, I think about 48 hours ago or 3 days ago. They were briefly talked about crypto exchanges being hacked, but the main focus was pretty much about Nash solving these issues. And some of these other YouTubers, in my opinion, they took this way out of context, and they're pretty much bashing Forbes. But Forbes wasn't, they weren't stating an opinion. They were only reporting from certain sources, right? And we're not going to read the whole article. We're just going to really touch up on two sections. which is right here, and it says, it should also be noted that while customer funds cannot be stolen by hacking an exchange's internal wallet, hackers could still cause plenty of damage if they were able to push out a malicious software update to NASH customers. That said, this is still a huge security gain. Okay, so is that true? Could you confirm, Fabio, is that true?
Yeah, that's true. And basically, the main gain is because NASH doesn't have the information to access the funds of the user. So even if a hacker do push a malicious update, we would still require the user to log in and provide his keys to the malicious update. So it's not only deploying the update, it's actually using the malicious update. I do hope that if someone do that, we would detect and act in quite quickly manner to actually avoid that people would log in and be damaged by that.
Right on. Okay, so I guess it is true. However, they did say at the end of that part of the article, this is still a huge security gain. So they still are commending you guys and applauding you guys, right?
There's a general comment on the Forbes article. So I believe when we talked last, there was a question around a comment made by the Kraken CEO along the lines of basically smart contracts are something like a clear and present danger or problematic in general. So I guess the question was sort of, is this something we should worry about? Like, should we not trust smart contracts and our centralized exchange is a good alternative to smart contracts?
So this is the tweet by, what's his name? This is the CEO of Kraken. And he was the one that said smart contract vulnerabilities remain a clear and present danger. Now, I mean, that makes a lot more sense to me, right? Why would Forbes want to really pretty much throw you guys under the bus? And they didn't. They didn't do that. They were just reporting what they heard from certain sources, which was from the CEO. Now, he owns a CEX, a centralized exchange, a fiat to crypto exchange, Kraken, very popular. Now, I mean, I don't really consider NASH being a competitor to him, but he seems to be in panic mode, you know? And it's almost like the post office telling the world that emails are bad and it could be hacked. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, if you're not going to disrupt yourself, someone else would do it for you. So I don't know if you guys could comment on his tweet there talking about the vulnerability. Got that for sure. Thank you so much. So what's your sentiment on him though? And like, you know, we're not dropping shade on him or anything. We just want to know though, is that like, I mean, you don't use the washroom where you sleep, right? Or where you eat. And that's pretty much what he's doing. You know what I mean?
I read the article that Paul commented, and if you read the article, there's two security concerns they are raising there. One is blockchains being attacked. So, sorry Jess, if blockchains are being attacked, they are not safe, even the ones that are inside the centralized exchanges. So this is a risk, so that's why at NASH we take very care to choose which kind of networks we implement. So we try to only implement networks that have proven to be secure. And the other part was not how you can trust implementation of smart contracts or even execution of smart contracts. Well, I think that our team does the best job I have ever seen in being really thorough in security. And if Forbes are calling us unhackable because of that, I'm really proud of the team. And I can assure that we do our best in security, and we also work with the best in the industry. If smart contracts are not to be trusted in general, then I think some exchanges should stop trading Ethereum because, well, they seem to not believe in it.
Yeah, I mean, just worth noting that all Ethereum tokens are based on smart contracts.
Yes,
right?
yes.
So if you are trading any Ethereum tokens on a centralized exchange, you are also trusting the smart contracts.
And this is something that it's a little bit technical, and maybe I don't want to get that deep, but a token in Ethereum is not actually something you send or not. It's much more like a tab that you have in the bar that you keep changing how much some person has. And that tab is implemented in a smart contract which keeps track of how much each person has. So whenever you are sending a token, you are changing on the tab, this person has this amount, this another person has this amount. So even if you are trading a centralized exchange, if it's a token, is what Ethan was saying, it is still a smart contract execution.
So can someone consider NASH a safe place to store their digital assets similar to
a hardware wallet or myetherwallet.com. I'm happy to answer this one too. And so basically, yes. So it's more or less as safe as your private key and your ability to store that private key. And this is true of most non-custodial wallets. Something else it's good to mention here is we're working on actually upgrades to the way that the user account system works at NASH, such that we have even enhanced security on top of this sort of basic idea of you own your private key, you own your funds. This is something called MPC or multi-party computation, and using this, we can actually impose limits on what any user who logs into your account can do, even if they somehow were to access that private key material. So as we move forward with that, this is where it's getting to the point where it's starting to compete with hardware wallets in terms of safety.
You want to tell the viewers about that from October 21st to the 23rd? You guys are actually gold sponsors as well?
The ART. Yeah. So that's a new computer science conference that just got spun up in basically FinTech technology. And we thought it was a good opportunity to learn from some of these cryptographic advances and also do our part to sponsor the good research that drives everything forward.
All right, so we know NASH is much more than a non-custodial exchange, right? In fact, NASH is a fintech company, as Ethan alluded to at the beginning of this interview, which is utilizing blockchain tech within the finance space. Now, my question to you is, how will NASH undertake the challenge of convincing companies within the fintech space as well that distributed ledger and decentralized finance is truly the future?
This is a good path to take. It's our job to find an untapped market and take advantage of that and help our customers in doing so. And people will see what we're doing, and I expect they'll react to it. But it's going to be a side effect of what we're doing. We're not trying to convince them.
Yeah.
Convince them by having success and then growing really fast, and that's how we convince people.
Yeah, no, I like that. You guys aren't shillers. You're not a shiller, right? Oh, speaking of that, big shout out to all the traders out there and all the investors, all the noobs, all the shillers, Fudders, and I can't forget you guys. What would the crypto space be without Fudders, right? Also, a huge shout out goes out to all the whales out there, which I hate you guys. But you know what? We're all under the same empire, man, so we might as well get along with each other. So before we get onto the more advanced community questions in which the community is waiting for, right? Please enlighten us all and explain to the viewers what exactly is cross-chain trading, but more importantly, why is this such a standout feature for any decentralized exchange?
Currently, most DEXs operate on, or decentralized exchanges operate on a single chain. So the most popular DEXs are on Ethereum, and they allow trading of ERC20 tokens with Ethereum or vice versa, and that works very well. The difficulty comes in when you want to combine a decentralized exchange and have that work with other chains. So in our case, bridging a smart contract on Neo with a smart contract on Ethereum is very difficult. Fortunately, we have a protocol that works in order to do that and allows us to process orders in the way a centralized exchange would. So you can place a complicated stop market order. Whereas on most DEXs, if they do allow cross-chain trading, it would only be something called like an atomic swap, where you would have a fixed amount of Neo for a fixed amount of ETH, which is a very basic swap, but is nothing that approaches our ability to do complex trades in a decentralized way.
So does that mean, could they send Bitcoin to an Ethereum address using NASH DEX? Is that the case?
No.
Okay, great. And I understand why that's such a big standout feature for a DEX, because, if you guys look at IDEX, well, not you guys, I'm talking to the viewers. You look at IDEX, what do you see? You only see ERC20 tokens, right? You don't see Bitcoin, you don't see Neo, you don't see any other network, right? And this is why a lot of traders, in my opinion, don't really like to trade on DEXs outside of the fact that it's a slow network. It's because they don't have much to trade with. They're stuck with ERC20 tokens. So this is massive, massive, massive news. So anybody who knows what a decentralized exchange is, but is coming across NASH for the first time and coming across this video, I hope we kind of got you up to date in what this fintech company and non-custodial exchange is about. Now we are about to hit up the community-driven questions. So the first question is from LuKu, who is one of the admins from the unofficial NASH Exchange Telegram chat, and he asks, when do we come out of the MVP stage?
Alright, so this is actually a business question, and to explain a little bit better, MVP is just how we get to the market. So we had some business hypotheses that we formulated of why our business would work, and we implemented that in the software that we put online. So basically that's why it's called MVP. There's not really a moment where you stop calling it MVP. There is a moment where you find your fit with the market, and then this means you have what we call a funnel. So it's how you get new users to know your product, and how the users that know your product become active users. So what NASH is doing right now is really trying to optimize and find its funnel. And that's the moment that the company itself will be investing more capital, more media attention, more marketing resources into touching this funnel to get more and more users. So basically that's when you give up on being MVP and go into a growth trajectory. So it's not like a NASH is implementing something someday and we will say the MVP is done. It's basically when the users and talking to our investors now, when our investors notice that we are getting really traction on number of active users and are increasing our spending in marketing, that's the moment that we have left the MVP status.
Yeah, no, you explained that perfectly fine, Fabio. Very well detailed and digestible too. I fully understood everything you said. Yeah, an MVP is pretty much just a prototype, right? This is not the end product, right? People are somewhat down about the trading volume, but they need to understand, which we'll get to. That's one of the questions. And guys, we are almost done. We got about 4 questions left or so. And people need to understand, if states aren't allowed to trade right now because of, you know, the licenses or what have you, and Canada, my country, obviously trading volume is going to be down, but is it going to be like that forever? Of course not. So yeah, just cool your horses, guys. All right, so next question is going to come. This is probably the most important question to the community members, okay? So GP on YouTube asks, and before you answer this, Fabio, I want you to answer this, okay? When can we expect a BTC trading on NASH? Now, before you answer that, I am hoping we get the same response, right, as right here. Listen to the soundbite.
I would say within a month.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Fabio Canison just said BTC trading will happen within a month. I'm joking, though. Okay, Fabio, go ahead.
There's the conflict on the team here, which is we want to say when ready, but we know people expect some timeline. And I think the most honest answer we have right now is like by the end of the year. Earlier than that is unreasonable by the amount of technology that needs to be built, and not only built, proven. We did spend, I think, 6 months already thinking about protocol, thinking about how we would do it, researching other solutions in the market and looking at behind the hood of these chains. And I think our team has come up with some innovative ideas. And that's basically where the effort is now. So if investors want to be keeping tabs, do not expect before the end of the year. That's a reasonable expectation, but we will ship when ready. And of course, we will continue to work with the community. So we will probably by that time have quite a few of you guys who are watching this video now testing and enjoying the Bitcoin trading, so that we can prove its performance and put it in the market.
All right, trading volume, very important. But with little to no trading volume, it kind of beats the whole purpose of this beautiful creation. So, to the query in question, community member on YouTube, Grant Jarvis, asks, right here, what are the plans to increase volume in the short and the long term?
Right, so this is a question that we don't usually like to reply because a lot of people is trying to do that. So we want to be the first.
Right, so on the short term, we will continue to work on optimizing liquidity. So quite a few users have noticed that in 3 markets, so the NEO USDC, ETH USDC, and NEO ETH market, we have been putting resources to make those markets liquid. So what we are doing there, we're gonna continue to do, but increase the intensity and also expand to a few other markets. That should help with the first part of the question, which is volume in the short term. And in the long term, we are also going to deploy other programs regarding the trading optimization in our company to actually have better prices, not only competitive prices, but have better prices on our exchange. So that would mean it's much easier to attract liquidity from players that are looking at trading at the better prices on the market as a whole, not only in NASH.
Yeah, just to provide more context as well, this is making the assumption, I think most people know this, but like getting volume has not been a priority so far, and this is something that we will be starting to do in the future. Next question, why can't I release my stakes? And I'll just say, go for it, yeah.
I just logged in today and released like 2 stakes.
Oh,
It was
okay.
exciting.
All right, so hopefully
There
your
were only
stakes-
test stakes, so there's like just 1 next, and then one of them was 2 next. But it works.
Okay.
There was a period, I think, of maybe 1 or 2 days where there was a bug preventing users from unstaking. But if anyone is experiencing issues with that, please contact our support team. But we don't expect that that's a problem anymore.
Thank you for the community for the questions. Thank you, Francis, to having us. You guys have
Yeah, sorry about the connectivity issues yesterday.
Yeah, I think by now most people realize our company is fully remote and every one of us living like really far apart from each other. So we do these sprints where we get together to discuss important business and technical decisions. And normally we have this moving office, and it's not like this is our normal office, everyday office. So we don't know how reliable can be a connection for live streaming. So I wanted to say thank you for the community watching yesterday and being really understanding of that fact. We ourselves are very happy to have everyone as investors, and I don't know when we go live, but invite people to be part of our events when we do that, because we will, with the team, earn some beautiful clothing and just have fun together with the project. Thank you.